Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Get Awesome. I am your co-host Jen Drakes, and with me is my co-host.
Katie Yates. Go, Katie.
And today's episode is our accountability check-in. And for the month of June, it was all about the Oola 7 accelerators, which are, and I will say them this time, in the right order of gratitude, love, discipline, integrity, passion, humility, and wisdom. And on our accountability check in, for those who have been following us, knows that this call is all about just getting back in touch with you to see how you're doing in terms of any assignments that were given. And I believe the assignment that we gave was the gratitude journal to get going, but also to look at out of the accelerators, which ones will you focus on if, over the next year or so to really move your life along and move the needle for you in whatever you wish to do. And with that, I'm going to pass it to my co-host to kind of kickstart us and get us going on what we should be doing. So, Coach Katie, over to you, darling.
Thanks, Jen. Yeah, we've been on quite a journey. We're now, almost done with half the year. Where does the time go, right?
Yeah.
Talked about the wheel so you know where you are. You'd made your goals and your plans, and you've been working your path. And we talked about what things can get in your way and block you. And this month, we're talking about what can you use to accelerate your path? What can you use to help you move faster, stronger, better along the way? And the first one is gratitude. And we did strongly suggest that you keep a gratitude journal, which I do. You have to figure out which way to go.
There you go.
And really, I'm finding it actually easier and easier, because it used to be, when I've done these in the past, they say, think of 3 things that you could be grateful for each day. And when I did a class with Jen, we started out with 5 things, and then we went to 10 things, and then we went to 15. Now, some days it's a struggle for me to get to 15, but I can almost always at least get to 10, right? I'm usually between 10 and 15 every day. And there are things that are on my gratitude list every single day, right? So, one way to look upon all of this is, if you are not grateful for what you already have in your life, how can you expect God or a higher power or whatever your belief is to give you more? If you aren't grateful and thankful for what you already have, why should you get any more? Right? So, having an attitude of gratitude is a way of life. It's a way of looking at things. And look, I know that things get sucky. I know with what we've been going through the past year that it's really hard to think of what's there to be grateful about with COVID and with, working from home and having to deal with, homeschooling your kids when you're really not a teacher, and politics, the vaccine, prices, food, how are you going to pay for things? I get all of that. Trust me, I get all of that. But again, you have to cultivate it. You have to look for the good. You have to look for the great things in your life. And we all have great things. So you have to ask yourself, do I have a complainer attitude? Right? Am I sort of a negative Nelly? People don't want to be around negative Nellies. People that are always complaining about stuff, they bring you down. And if you're that negative Nelly, you're bringing people down around you. People are always seeking other people that lift them up, that can find the joy in life, that can, see the silver lining. And one of the things that the Oola guys talk about is be grateful for all things, the good and the bad. And of the bad stuff, to look for the silver lining, to look for the lesson that's there for you to learn. Again, the gratitude journal is a way to work on changing your focus, right? All of these accelerators are sort of the rocket fuel that we all need. The next one is love, and it's like it's unconditional love. So you have to ask yourself, do I put conditions on my love? I'll love you if you buy me this. I'll love you if you make this much money. I'll love you if you take me on this trip, right?
But Kelly, I'm actually going to interrupt you for a minute and go back to gratitude, because for me, these accelerators, I agree with you, are indeed the rocket fuel for your life. And gratitude is a game changer. And I really want to emphasize that. And I'm a little bit firmer on many of these. I think you're so kind and wonderful, but I'm a little bit more of the sterner action oriented type of approach with all of these. And I think whether life is up or down, at the very least, we have gratitude for the breath that we take each day. And if that's your one, that's okay. And if you say, I can only land on that one because things are so dismal, like I remember going to a hospital foundation dinner, and there was a lady there that had been, she had fallen under one of those trucks that cleaned the snow, like clear the snow, and she had lost her limbs. And at that dinner was that lady with her husband and her child, still very up-spirited, still very happy. When you have those types of things in your life, I understand when you question gratitude. I understand when the only thing you can be thankful for, if you even feel to be thankful for, is the breath that comes from your lips. But I believe gratitude is a game changer. And even if you're going through your worst time in life and you can only find one, you can build from one, because there's always at least one. So I just wanted to say that about gratitude. And yes, for some people, it depending on what they're going through, it may be hard to find that one gratitude or that three gratitudes or whatever. But there's always something to be grateful. My one every day is rising up out of my bed on my own cognizance, on my own ability, and seeing the next sunrise, right? That is my number one gratitude every day, that it never goes away. As you say, it's always on every list. And then I build from there. So what I'm saying to the audience is, from a no nonsense perspective, it is hard for me to conceptualize somebody that can find nothing to be grateful about. You may not
Oh,
focus on it. You may not focus on it. I can understand that, right? But I'm saying, like Katie, if you focus on gratitude, it's a game changer in your life and in the bounties that you can get from life. So I just wanted to say about gratitude before we get heavily into love. So continue,
well,
Kate.
just to piggyback on what you said, the first two of mine are always, I am grateful for God, and I'm grateful I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and
Absolutely.
and then some days it's, I mean, again, we talked about this on and during the first broadcast. It you know Gratitude doesn't have to be major things,
Mm-hmm.
like you landed a contract, or you created this, or you were gifted this. No, find gratitude in everything. So some days, like Tuesdays, I'm grateful for the trash people. I'm grateful that I can pull my trash can out to the yard, and that there's somebody that comes along and will take it away for me, that I don't have to take it someplace. Some days I'm grateful that I've got a washer and dryer here, that I don't have to lug myself in a bunch of quarters to a laundromat. That
And
I'm
I'll actually give you an example of one now that you mention it, that I was grateful for today. Was we have our compost go out on Wednesday mornings, and it was picked up. And you know how they do, depending on who's driving, they throw the can somewhere. And I happened to go out and I collected the compost and brought it back in. And literally, maybe about 20 minutes after that, there was the most massive rain shower. And I was grateful that I had picked up that compost container and brought it in before the rain, because then I knew I would have to go out there and be like this, picking up this stupid wet thing. And I was grateful for that. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you that I picked it up when I did. So it's little things that you just recognize in your day to day that if you practice gratitude, these little things you will notice, and you'll note that you stop. You actually recognize something to be grateful for, and you say thank you for it. And that's where the game changing is. So yeah, something as simple as that. So the trash, those people who take in the trash, bringing it in before the rain hits.
Right.
All those things are little things that happens on a day-to-day basis to be grateful for.
Right. And there are things that we have a tendency to take for granted.
Yes.
Right? If we've got a roof
Absolutely.
over our head, if we have running water, if we have indoor plumbing, there's some days that those things make my list. And I'm glad I don't have to go to an outhouse, right?
Absolutely.
To be blunt, but truly, there's so many things in our lives that we just take for granted. Which if we really stopped and thought about it, a lot of mornings I'm grateful for coffee. Right? I'm grateful I can sit out on my screened-in deck on the back of my house with my cup of coffee, my Sudoku puzzle, and my foster dog.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a great way, to spend like 15, 20 minutes in my morning.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we were talking about love.
Love.
Do you put conditions on your love? Also, don't forget to look at yourself. Do you love yourself?
That's the first point.
Really, do you love yourself?
Point. And there's many people out there who love others but don't love themselves. There's many people.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. But again, look at, are you putting conditions on your love for others? And do you put conditions on loving yourself, right? I'll love myself once I lose, 30 pounds. I'll really like myself once I get that job I want, because then I'll feel successful, right? Then I'll feel worthy, right? Do you do that to yourself? If you do, you need to do a mind check. You have to do a reset on what you're thinking. The next one is discipline. Dr. Troy is always saying, what the lazy want, the discipline get. So where in your life do you need more discipline? Right? You can use the marble things that you've talked about before, where you have 2 cups with marbles in them. And here in the US, women live to be about 81 and men about 77. So for me, you take 81 marbles, right? I got my 2 cups right here, right? Right? So these are my marbles. This is what I have. Oops, wrong one. This is what I have left, right? So it can help create, and these sit right in front of me. So I see them every day. And I can look at the years I've had, and I can look at the years I have left. And I can then, go back to my, my 7 goals, my top 7 goals, and think, okay, are these still things I want to work on? And what do I need to do? Right? And that's where you can use, and we've talked about this before, the little 3x5 cards, and we've gone through the oranges and the Skittles, where the oranges are these things which are important to you because, back when we were setting our goals, these were things that you set. We didn't tell you what to set, and hopefully nobody in your home told you what to set. These were things that were important to you and you set. So you have to have some sense of discipline and some, whatever process works for you. The writing down the oranges and the Skittles things, and making my list of what I want to accomplish, which is, this side, these are my oranges, and these are my Skittles. And my Skittles are those everyday tasks: pay the bills, do the laundry, go to the grocery store, go to the post office, stuff like that.
Now, Candy, if someone doesn't have discipline, how can they start to become a disciplined individual?
see, again, for me, because again, you need, this to me helps me be disciplined, because this sits out on my desk, and
Mm-hmm.
every night, I will, so after we get through here, I'll flip it over to the next one, and I'll, make my list of my oranges and my Skittles. It's given me a framework and a foundation and a process to follow daily. And it's like any habit, right? Discipline is a habit. Doing this is a habit, right? Having my goals, my top 7 out in front of me and looking at them every day is a habit.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do anybody any good if you spend all of that time setting your 21 goals and then whittling it down to 7 and then picking your top goal. If you didn't write them down, and if you never look at them again, and if you don't then start to break down these goals
Mm-hmm.
into your baby steps. And and again, I think it goes back to something you probably said in some way, shape, or form, that if these are really important to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If these are what are going to drive you, you will find a way.
Right.
You will find a way. Now, look, that's not to say that you're going to have some days where you don't get anything done, because real life happens, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get sick, or the kids get sick, or you're, like Jen, you're dealing with, parents and grandparent issues, occasionally, or, work just goes berserk, and, you're at your day job day and night. But you still have to have some sort of process. You still need to keep these in front of you. And, and then, it's like anything. If you fall off the wagon, okay, you don't tear everything up and say it doesn't work. You start over again, right? You get back to it. I mean, that's how I see discipline. I mean, I think you have to decide what's important to me, and then, spend some time thinking about, okay, what are each day, what are 3 baby steps I can take which will help move me towards this, right? And if you've not set goals in the past, and so this is all new to you, it's baby steps.
Well, for me, if you don't have discipline, what I would say to someone to start to put is to do one thing, pick one thing, and commit to doing that on a daily basis, such as, for example, making your bed. So get
Right.
up every morning and make your bed. That's all I want you to do for the next month. Just make your bed. Because that starts to instill a routine and a discipline. Because when we say discipline, we really mean getting into a mindset of routine based to some extent, but a routine that moves the needle for you, right?
Right.
But before you can even get to setting goals, if you're not a disciplined person, you've got to find a way to put discipline into your life in some shape or form. So I would start as small as that.
Right.
Or if they're really bad, okay, all I want you to get out of the bed and fluff your pillow and put it at the top of the bed. That's it. Next thing, now fluff your pillow and make the sheets all laid out nicely. So now what I'm getting you to do is make your bed on a regular basis. Okay, we've done that now. Still continue that. Now let's add to that. So those are kind of the things in my coaching I would do to get a like a completely non-disciplined person into a disciplined mode. Not about necessarily everything, but let's start with baby steps, right? And get there. So that's kind of where I was thinking. But that's a good discussion. So go ahead.
Well, have you read that Make Your Bed? Made me think of, and I cannot think of the man's name. He's an admiral, retired admiral, and he gave a talk at I can't really remember. I want to say, the Naval Academy graduation. Mm-hmm. And this theme of his talk was make your bed.
Yeah, because that's what they do with the Army. That's what they do. Yeah, right? The new Army recruits to do, right? They can't leave until their bed is made.
Right, but that was his theme. If you get up and you make your bed, you have done one, you've already checked one thing and, started your day off accomplishing one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting that you say that, because as soon as you start talking about make your bed, I just flashed on. I just read an article about that man,
Mm-hmm.
and he's
Right?
got a book out. And I don't know if the name of the book is Make Your Bed, but
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to look it up.
interesting. Okay, the next one is integrity.
Mm-hmm.
The New Oxford American Dictionary defines integrity as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. The Oola guru, who's Dr. Troy, says integrity is keeping your word with others and keeping your word
Yourself.
with yourself, right?
With yourself, yes.
If you don't have integrity with yourself, right? If then you're not going to believe in yourself anymore, right? And then you start, that can start this whole downward spiral, right? I'm such a loser. I always say I'm going to do this and I don't ever do it, and your self-worth, it goes, into the toilet. You lose confidence in yourself, all of that stuff. So while it's important to keep your word with others, it's equally important to keep your word with yourself. Right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the greatest compliments of integrity is when someone says to you, I knew something, like say you missed doing something, and the person says to you, I knew something was wrong because it's not like you.
But
You're not, that is one of the greatest compliments when you get that type of thing and they go, no, we knew something was off because that's not you. That's not typically you. So when you build up that kind of um, expectation in others, that they know when you say something, you will stand by it. And when you don't, it's because something catastrophic or something outside of your control stepped in. That is your highest compliment, that you are an integral person. So that's what you're really striving for, and what you are, teaching others through your own actions and through your own commitments and promises and how you keep them and
right.
uphold them.
And another way to look upon this is think of what your expectations are on other people. When you ask other people to show up, help out, do something,
Mm-hmm.
you expect and want and need them to keep their word.
Yeah.
And so how do you feel when they let you down? So do you want to be that person who lets other people down in addition to yourself, is what you got to ask.
And that
Right?
brings up the old adage of do unto others as you would have them do unto you, or treat others as you wish to be treated. Those two things are exactly equates to what you said. So that's wonderful.
Right. Okay, next one is passion. We are born with passion, right?
Ah,
We are born from passion. We are born with passion. We've seen it in children, right? How children get so excited talking to us and telling us a story about some adventure they had or some adventure going on or what they want to do. And what happens? We get beat up by the world. We get told, you can't have that, right? You can't do this.
yeah.
You're not smart enough. You don't have enough money. You're not pretty enough. You're not tall enough. You're fat. All of these hateful things which we then internalize. And then that's the story we tell ourselves.
And also, we go into corporate America, and sometimes in professional settings, they tend to throw it at you to go, oh, well, you're just being too emotional, or you're being too, and when what you're being is passionate, and they tell you you're being too emotional. Now, that for me is a pet peeve.
Well,
That for me is a pet peeve.
Just calm down.
Just calm down.
Calm down. Everything's gonna be okay, right?
Right? And they use the emotional nonsense and words and stuff like that, and you're going, no, I'm not emotional. I'm passionate about the topic I'm speaking about. Or I'm passionate about what I'm trying to get across. There's a difference, and so to me, I find corporate America is also a place sometimes that just crushes that, right? And people think, oh, I've got to tone it down so I can't show the passion that I have. And then what you do is it's like killing a flower, right? It's like wilting a flower. So be passionate is me and Kate's message. Tell them to go to heck and be passionate.
The problem is that nowadays we're all stuck on this hamster wheel of life, right?
Yeah.
We get in a car, go to a job we hate, work there 8, 9, 10 hours, get back in the car, come back through traffic to a spouse we don't like, sit on the couch all night long watching Netflix or the game or whatever. And then we go to bed after we've snacked all evening, right? So we put on weight, we're spending money we don't have, right? So it's this hamster wheel because we've lost that passion that we had as a child. So passion is the gas. If you want an Oola life, passion is the gas. Passion is the thing that should have been, passion should be someplace on this list of 7. It should be something, right?
Yeah.
There should be something that just makes you think, oh, it would be so cool, right? I love this, right? I want to do this. Let's do this now. Can I quit my job? Right?
Yeah.
You just want to forget all practicalities and you just want to dive right in head first because it gets you excited. It reminds you, I don't know, it's that,
It brings out the child in you. It brings out that child in you.
It's that castle in the distance, that lighthouse in the distance. It's whatever. So if you don't know what your passion is, I would say, think about it, pray about it, anytime you can have a quiet moment. If you're in the car, turn off the radio while you're driving and maybe think about things you enjoyed as a child, think about things you enjoyed, growing up. If you have a job you hate, maybe there's something, maybe there's just a little something in that job that you enjoy doing. And how could you expand that, right? Because you really like it, whether it's training new hires or whether it's, helping put together presentations or whether it's serving customers, is there a piece of that you like doing? Take all the other garbage out. Take the whoa, calm down part out of it, right? Take the irritating coworkers out of it. Is there a part of that part of what you're doing, from 8 to 5, 9 to 6, or whatever your hours are, that you like, that you really enjoy and you wish you could do more of? Maybe
I would actually, what I would coach Katie, is to if you don't know what your passion is, start by focusing on pleasure. And when I say pleasure, I mean, what are all the things that truly bring you to that smiling from ear to ear, that gets you into an animated state, that gets you speaking at a very fast pace? What are those things that give you pleasure? And I don't care if you start with eating a strawberry and saying, this is how I feel when I'm having pleasure, right? And just focus on that for over a period of time. And you will slowly start to get a list of things that give you pleasure, including the thing that leads to passion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I think we got to step back from trying to hit the goal of, what makes me passionate? Because I think then people get anxious. They feel, I should know this, but I don't. And they get all, no, step back and every day consider what gives you pleasure. When are you in that pleasure state? I don't care if it's like you said to me, you said, I enjoy sitting with my cup of coffee, and that's a pleasure state. Okay.
Right.
And start to just understand those types of things. Then I think you will get into that whole pleasure piece. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. And you hit upon a good point. Like when you said, people get anxious, and look, I'm here to tell you, the vast majority of us probably never give. And if somebody asked us, the vast majority would say, I have no idea, right? Because we are on the hamster wheel of life, right? Because we've never sat and thought about it. And Jen's got a good point about start with what gives you pleasure, right? And I would add, if it's like eating a strawberry, try and add some more of that to your life.
Exactly.
Right?
Because you want to get conscious. What you want to bring from the subconscious to the conscious side of your mind is becoming aware of how you feel when you're in that zone. when I'm actually enjoying things that I like, how do I feel? Okay, now we want you to start to think of that every time and start to recognize it, so that when you have hit on the thing that gives you passion, you will go, oh, it's making me feel the same way, maybe two times more, three times more, whatever, but it's making me feel the same way. And start to focus on that a little bit more than you probably did in the past. And that's even in the job that you think you may hate, but you might find those pieces in the job you actually like that might tell you what you should be passionate about and where your focus should lie. So I think sometimes we get so lost and disconnected from ourselves that what ends up happening to put all these pieces together and get to the accelerators in our life is like putting back a jigsaw puzzle. And sometimes we got to step back from the objective of getting to gratitude, getting to love, getting to discipline, getting to integrity, getting to passion, and start to just take little semblance of pieces and start to put back that piece of all of what we are, who we are. And that's again becoming then self aware and focused on you to say, this is what Jen likes. This is what Jen is passionate about, right? Like you and I know something we're passionate about. We're passionate about Get Awesome. We're passionate about the Oola teachings and about all those things. So,
Right.
I want the audience to look and say, this is what passion looks like. We're not here trying to sell you anything. We're being passionate about something that we want for you. And this is what passion looks like. This is what pleasure looks like. So try to get yourself into that state, because if you aren't, start to question why and start to put that jigsaw puzzle. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to humility. And
Yeah.
here's what I like what they say about humility is, look, everything that we've done, from January on, it's been all about you, right? But the truth is, it's not all about you, right? Which is really kind of funny when you think about it, because everything's been focused on you, right? Where you are in the wheel, where you go, how, what are your goals? What are your plans? What's blocking you? What can you accelerate? Well, it's not all about you, right? So you have to ask yourself, do you have humility? Do you think that you're better than other people? Do you think that because you have a cooler car, a better job, or you're prettier, or you're more handsome, or you dress better, or whatever, you have more money, that you're better than other people? And I think a lot of us can get sucked into the comparison trap or the judgment trap, which is not having humility. So you need to ask yourself, where can I serve others, right? Where can I serve others, and where can I give back? You were given gifts, right? God designed you for greatness and a purpose. Why settle for ordinary when extraordinary is within you? But God didn't give you these extraordinary gifts for you, to just hoard them or focus only on yourself. We are here to serve others. And in the process, we are lifted up by lifting others up. So ask yourself, where can I find ways to serve others, and where can I find ways to give back? Because again, if you go back to gratitude, right, and you have sat down and you're in the zone, and you're thinking about everything that you're grateful for every day and how blessed you are. And if you're in a Western country, we are like 50 bazillion times more blessed than like a lot of this planet, right? People who don't have running water, who don't know, who live in a shack with no, electricity, don't have indoor plumbing. They have none of that, right? No shoes, whatever, right? If you've got shoes in your closet, if you have like 2 pairs of shoes, you're blessed than more people on this planet, right?
But
So
the irony is, Katie, and I will say this because I've been to like Dominican Republic. I've been to some of these places where you see boroughs of very deep poverty. And what I'm always amazed at, sometimes those people with as little as they have are happier than us that have so much. And that has always astounded me. Laughter, you see laughter in the streets, you see laughter in the families, you see them having joy and enjoyment with very little. And you end up leaning your head and going, how amazing is that?
Right.
And so I've always found that piece so interesting to be happier with little.
Well, and I think it's probably because in Western culture, particularly here in the US, we
Mhm.
have become a
Oriented, yes.
consumer-oriented culture, right? It's buy, spend, buy, spend, buy, spend, right? I have to have this. If I want to be important, right, I need this car, or I need to dress like this, or I need to have this purse, this
Mhm.
designer purse, and then my life will be happy. We've attached our joy and our happiness and our contentment to things, right? Things will not buy us happiness. Look, I can shop with the best of them, right? I can go on Amazon and buy books out the wazoo, right?
Mhm.
I can go to the mall. Trust me, I can go on QVC. I'm an expert shopper. I'm trying to curb that. And when we get into our deep dives on the apps, we'll talk about this more. But I am trying to steer myself away from this buy, spend, spend, spend. If I have this, my life will be perfect. You're right. I'll be cool. Right. I'll finally be cool. Right. Because of a purse? Really? Do you want to get to the end of your life and think, well, I had a really good life because I had a Dooney and Burke purse,
Yeah.
right? Or I had, what is it? Manola Blahnik shoes. Kristen Labouture. How do you say his last name? I know I've totally schmussed his word. But we're not put here to buy, right? That's just become a part of our culture. And I'm not sure how it is in Canada. I know it particularly in the US.
Oh no, it's here too. Maybe not as much, but it's here. It's along the same lines, right? We're
it's
being
all
put on this earth to do and achieve,
right.
and to then take that to help others, right? That's what we were put on this earth for, and we've got it all backwards.
Right.
So when we talk, about the reason I jumped in is because at the same time of saying, living in a shack and all of that, I've not always seen that it's a negative thing on the ones living in the shacks
Well,
viewpoint. They accept their situation and they find happiness in that situation a lot of times. And yes, we as North Americans look on and go, "Oh, those poor people," but they're happy.
right. Well, right. Well,
Right?
remember in
Yeah.
class, Dr. Troy talked about some of the happiest people on this planet, you know, aren't people with huge bank accounts or huge houses or,
Hmm.
a zillion cars and, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay, the last of our accelerators is wisdom.
Wisdom.
Who doesn't want wisdom?
Everybody wants wisdom. That's what comes with age. That's the beautiful gift of age is the wisdom.
Two ways to get your wisdom.
But there's another way. You tell me, Katie, what's the other way?
Well, one way is we gain wisdom by our own mistakes, our own wins and losses and
Mhm.
successes, right? Our failures, which we don't like to use that word, but our misses.
Mhm.
Um, so we learn, like that Thomas Edison said, he learned, 10,000 ways not to invent the light bulb. Not that he failed 10,000 times,
Absolutely not.
you know.
It's what we learned. We learn our wisdom from when things do not work out as we thought they would.
We learn
That's
how to adjust and fine tune and maybe try something else. The other way is we gain wisdom by having mentors, and whether those mentors are people in person or
Mhm.
their books we've read or their videos or whatever. Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins always say, find somebody, doesn't have to be in person, doesn't have to be somebody you personally know. Find somebody who's done what you want to do and learn from them.
Yeah.
Success leaves clues, but you have to be willing to be open to learning, right? And to making adjustments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, while there are always stories about, people who knew what they wanted to do when since they were 7 years old, and the first time they went out, they were a big hit, they wrote a bestseller or they got a lead in a movie. Those people are not, how do I want to say? They're few and far between, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of us struggle with all of this stuff that we're talking about, right? So if you're comparing yourself to somebody like a Taylor Swift who knew when, or I can go back even years further, like a Shirley Temple, who were successful, brilliant, and very young,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to come out on the short end of the stick. So why are you even going there, right? So you look at what you want to do, try things, right? Right? Like if you're looking at, think of Michael Jordan. How many free throws did Michael Jordan miss?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he made a bazillion ones that were spot on, but he also missed a bunch. But Michael Jordan also practiced making, a million, free throws a day.
Yeah. He never left his practice unless he had hit 500 at least.
Right? I couldn't remember the numbers, but I've heard
it was 500, yeah.
And then there was some baseball player who, had a killer swing. Well, he used to swing a massive bat every day. I mean, that was part of his exercise. He'd do 600 swings with this weighted bat.
Mm-hmm.
So, only these people have discipline, right? I mean, obviously they have discipline if they're doing this every day, right? But they have a vision, and they know what it's going to take to get them there. So these are the people that that you have to if you have an idea of what direction you want to go, right? Then search for people who have done it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, learn by your own mistakes, learn by what worked, learn by what didn't work, fine tune it, try it again, right? The only failure is if you quit, really.
Yeah.
Right? If you try something and it doesn't work, and then you just throw up your hands and say, well, this isn't gonna work. Well, what's on TV? With your lower, what's on Netflix? No, it's gonna take work, but you start small, right? We keep saying start small, baby steps. Baby steps. So again, the accelerators are things that you can use. They are the rocket fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Deal with the blockers, right? Get rid of those. Think of it like if you had a garden. Think of the blockers as being getting rid of the slugs in your garden and getting rid of the the moths or whatever you're going to eat, or tomato plants or whatever you're thinking. And then the accelerators are things like how you amended your soil, what quality
your fertilizer, all of those sort of things. Yeah.
Watering and and your weeding. So it's what people do who have gardens, with whether it's vegetables or whether it's flowers. It's what farmers do. They working on getting rid of the blockers, but they're folding in accelerators, the things that will help their garden flourish.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have it.
All right. So June was a great month. We one of the things that I wanted to call out today is that it's June 30th. It's literally the last day of the month. It's not too often we land on the last day of the month to do our show, but today ends also Pride Month. So I wanted to shout that out and just hope that everyone had a wonderful June month celebrating Pride, birthdays, all of those things. And Katie, what do we have for next month? What is our topic next month?
Next month, we start the deep dive into each one of the 7 F's. So next month, we talk all things fitness.
Fitness. Fitness.
So July the 7th.
And that's next Wednesday, actually. Next Wednesday evening is when we come on July the 7th for our inspiration call on fitness. So don't miss out on that. And we will see you then. So with that said, Katie, take us out, and we're out of here. We're wrapping up.
Right. As always, be grateful, have faith, and go get your Oola life. And thanks for joining us.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.